Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 328th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan for the last time, Kyle. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Cameron. It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. We're surrounded.
Yes.
We're absolutely surrounded in decor. Some balloons.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube.
Large box of cookies.
Yep.
What actually you can't see on the screen on your screen at the moment is a big banner that says "Proud of Zoo," Z-O-U.
Z-O-U.
That my wife
That's
Hannah.
an incredible play on words there.
Incredible play on words. My shout out to my wife Hannah, who obviously knew this was going to be the final episode. So she gave us a little surprise that we walked into here.
Yep, she came and decorated the studio for us. It looks fantastic. I love the balloons. Maybe at the end we can turn the camera to see the banner.
Yeah, if it's still hanging. I think it's hanging on for dear life over there.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. We love you. Yeah, this is it for now. This is going to be the final episode. And so we'll do plenty of reminiscing and strolls down memory lane, especially because there's no football to talk about, really. And yeah, you've had a busy week.
It's been a busy week, man. You got to work at work sometimes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
When you have to do that, oof.
Yeah.
No fun.
It's one of those types of situations.
Well, I've had the opposite because it's slow time at work and my wife and child are out of town, leaving me here by myself.
Wow, you've been living the dream for a few days.
And, you know, that's nice sometimes. I miss them.
Of course.
Legitimately. But, and it actually gets boring by yourself sometimes. It takes a while for me to get bored.
Mm.
You know, when you've just got the house to yourself.
Yeah.
I got to give myself props though, because usually in this situation, when I'm home by myself, I'll have a day where like I sleep in till 11 and then like don't eat anything till like 1:30. And it just, then I'm like dehydrated, have a headache, all this stuff. Like can't be doing that anymore. But I avoided that this week. They come back tomorrow.
Ate your meals.
Yeah,
like a normal person.
Ate fairly normal meals. I did laundry, kept the house fairly clean.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, I mean,
Adulting.
yeah, I can do that every once in a while.
I typically don't forget to eat meals. That's not a problem for me usually, whether I'm by
Yeah.
myself or not.
I do that. Emily makes fun of me and is like confused by it, but it's a legitimate thing that
It's like the first thing I do when I get up. I'm like, all right, what I'm about to eat.
it's just, it's a lot to do sometimes.
It is, you know.
You know,
I get it.
you got to fix something.
Yeah.
So when we run out of frozen foods, I'm in trouble. Anyway, yeah, before we get to reminiscing, we'll talk about what just happened with the basketball team, and then we'll see where we go from there. But Missouri basketball beat LSU 83-67, and man, was it nice to see a Dennis Gates Mizzou basketball team win an SEC game.
Masterclass.
Whew.
Masterclass in winning a basketball game.
You can't do it any better.
You cannot,
as far as I'm
win
concerned.
You can't win an SEC game better than we did.
And it had been, they had lost 20 in a row going back to like the 2023 or like the SEC tournament 2 years ago. Lost 21 in a row, I guess, if you can include Auburn. That's a heck of a streak. My goodness. Glad to be done with that.
Yeah.
Tamar Bates, I think he had 20 points. I've got to pull it up here. He's looked so good so far this year.
Yeah. You know, I feel like Tamar Bates has done like the natural progression of that we used to see in like old school college basketball a little bit, where it's like you just hang around for a while, you gain experience, you get a little older, bigger, stronger. Eventually, you're going to be leading the team, and that's very much been the path that Tamar Bates has taken.
Yeah, he like turned a corner with like last year. He was incredibly solid, and we were almost like asking him to shoot more because his percentages were there, but the usage was not crazy high. And this year, I feel like he's not, there's more pieces around him
Yeah.
where he can kind of just do the same as last year, but he's more effective and more efficient because he's got better players around him.
He's doing it tastefully, you could say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a grown man, though,
Yeah, he is.
with a family and everything.
Yeah. It felt like, LSU is no slouch. This is a home game, and home court advantage is massive in college basketball, but there is no automatic wins in the SEC, and we are well acquainted with that fact.
Yeah.
But Missouri was just clearly the best team in this game. They kind of just buried them early and kept them at arm's length the whole time, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, Missouri's energy was better right from the jump. John Sunvold was on the commentary crew, and he was talking about how LSU was like passing the ball around the perimeter, not really making much of an effort to get to the rim or like initiate the offense. They did turn it up a notch in the second half where they kind of made a run, but I think Missouri was up by 21 at one point in the second half.
Yeah.
So it was just too much for LSU to overcome. Not that I wouldn't put it past Missouri to allow a big run like that, but it was nice to see.
Yeah, that never happened.
Yeah, nothing too crazy happened.
It's like that thing where Missouri goes down to Alabama or Mississippi and they're just all out of sorts.
Yeah.
It's like when you ask LSU to go up north.
Exactly.
They just don't know what to
Yeah.
do.
But you're talking about home court advantage. That's going to be so huge all season long, is winning at home. Because before the Mizzou game came on, I was checking to see what was going on, and Florida destroyed Tennessee at Florida. And then Georgia at home beat Kentucky. I know because I had to watch the last 4 minutes of that game that took literally 35 minutes of real time, and it was not even a close game.
How did that even happen?
Well, it was on SEC Network, and, I can't pay for my own utilities, so I use producer Cameron's YouTube TV account,
Of course.
to watch Mizzou sports, and you don't get SEC Network Plus on YouTube TV. You just get SEC Network. So they're showing Kentucky, Georgia until it's over.
Why did it take so long?
They reviewed like every other play for a flagrant foul, a contact to the head or neck. It was literally like a 12-point game, and both teams were like playing it to the buzzer, fouling. It was insane. So finally, I got to watch the Mizzou game when they were already up like 25-13 or something. Yeah, it was literally like
Wow.
10 minutes into the game before I got to start watching. But there was plenty of good plays to be seen after I started. Anthony Robinson, 16 points. He had a great game. And offensively, though, like scoring 83 points after just being held to 65 against or 68 against Auburn, it felt good. Trent Pierce looked good. Mark Mitchell made a three.
I'm a Trent Pierce fan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's only a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
Man, I think when he like kind of just figures out like his body in general, like he's just, you can tell his ceiling is so high, and he's still just kind of figuring out how to play college basketball at that level. Maturity needs to probably get to a certain point also, but like you can just tell he's going to be so good if and hopefully he sticks around. And he was a guy last year that I was like, I can tell he's probably going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be here or somewhere else.
Right.
In this day of college basketball, it wouldn't have shocked me whatsoever if he would have gone somewhere else, because he didn't play much last year. But I'm glad he's here at Missouri.
Yeah, obviously, since we're not going to be commenting on the team week in, week out for a little while here, we might as well look ahead to the future a little bit. Obviously, you have Bates, Tony Perkins. Warwick had a good game last night, 12 points for him off the bench. But there's a lot of seniors on this team. Caleb Grill, Josh Gray, all seniors. And normally, I feel like with that many seniors that are leaving, it's like a little worrisome. And maybe next year, who knows? But you'll have Mark Mitchell coming back as a senior. He'll get that Dennis Gates senior year bump that everybody gets. And then you'll have the sophomores that will be juniors next year, Robinson, Trent Pierce, and then this freshman class from this year being 1 year older.
Yeah. Yeah, next year could be really fun in the way that, it's just going to be a lot of these guys developing. And I feel like I've already said it like 3 times on this podcast literally today, but I just feel like you don't get to see that as much anymore, where it's like you get to see the guys go through the progression as, freshmen, sophomores, and just go through the whole process in the same program. And hopefully, obviously, who knows what's going to happen next year? Who knows who will retain and who will leave, because that just always happens to some extent. But it feels like this is a good group with a coaching staff that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think these guys love playing for Dennis Gates, and
they really do. And that's such a fascinating thing to me, because I was thinking about that with Marquez Warwick, how he's a senior, only 1 year left. He already has like 2,000 points in his collegiate career and scored 20 points per game last year at Northern Kentucky. And he's just coming off the bench, like plenty of games so far. He's not even on the floor for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And yet this game comes off the bench, has 21 minutes played and 12 points, made 2 3-pointers. Credit to Gates and the staff, but I just don't see how you get a guy to come here for his last year and
when he's averaging like 18 points a game, like at his previous,
and just have him come off the bench. But I don't know if if you have a guy that you're not using a lot, then how's the other team going to game plan around him?
Yeah, they're saving
also
him. X factor.
He's been in college for 4 years already.
Yeah.
So I don't know how all that works out, but
yeah, he's definitely a guy I wouldn't mind seeing more of. I think he can make stuff happen.
And I feel like as we get into SEC play, I think we'll start to see the rotation be focused more on the seniors, the upperclassmen. Against Auburn, when it kind of got away at the end, he was playing. It was like all freshmen and sophomores on the floor at one point. But I'd say the future is bright. I had to, now with the Kansas victory and now finally getting an SEC win, I had to go take a look at what Bart Torvik is thinking right now as far as March Madness projections. And right now, he projects Missouri to go 19-12 overall, 8-10 in SEC play, and get a 9 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Okay, forget like the tournament projection.
Yeah.
Like, would you just take that record and conference record straight up if I said we're going to go 19-12, 8-10 in the SEC?
Yeah,
would you take
honestly, yes. It would obviously depend a little bit on, now that you're in SEC play, it doesn't really matter where the losses and wins come exactly. There's not a bad loss possible in SEC play, I don't think. I would really like to get to 9-9.
Yeah.
In conference play.
It feels weird, like having a negative conference record. Obviously, this is a pretty unique situation, as we've talked about in the last few weeks. But the SEC is just an absolute gauntlet. But yeah, it's crazy. I really think they could probably go 8-10. Beat who you're supposed to beat. Don't have any there's not really bad losses, but avoid losing to LSU at home. They obviously avoided that.
Yeah.
That probably gets them in.
I was looking at, KenPom ranks the conferences.
Yeah.
And usually you see the last few years, the Big 12 has been on top, and Big 12, SEC, Big 10, it's kind of been at the top of college basketball the last 5 years or so. And it's always really tight. And this year, so far, the SEC is the best conference in college basketball, and there's a pretty big gap between the SEC and the Big 10, and Big 10 and Big 12 are neck and neck for second place. Because I was looking at Kansas's schedule and who's bad. They're there's triple-digit KenPom teams in the Big 12, in the Big 10. Just does not exist in the SEC.
In the modified Big 12.
Right. Obviously,
we don't let anybody just in the SEC.
No, you got to be good at football and basketball.
You got to earn it.
Yeah,
you got to be better at basketball though.
Right. How do you feel about? We can kind of be done with basketball, I guess. But how do you feel about Texas being the last team standing from the SEC in the college football playoff?
I don't like it.
You don't? I don't really care.
Honestly,
for it.
I don't think that really dawned on me until you just said that.
Yeah, Texas.
And that kind of took a position, you could say, against Texas.
Yeah.
Who's their next opponent? Do we know? Like,
Yeah.
do you know off the top of your head?
You'd think I would know. You think I would know the college football playoff semifinal matchups?
I mean, you've got a Missouri. You got a sports podcast for goodness sakes.
We talk about college football on this
on.
podcast. Texas must play. They don't play Notre Dame or Penn State. They play the fourth team that's still in the playoff, which is maybe the team that beat Oregon, which would be Ohio State.
There you go.
Hey,
we got there.
Right? Texas must play Ohio State.
Well, it sounds right to me.
I guess they could lose that game.
They could lose that. I didn't expect Oregon to go down without a fight.
Missouri and Texas, though, they're like the only teams in the SEC that have won their bowl games. Probably somebody else has, but we'll say it's just Missouri. Yeah, so obviously Missouri's going to make the NCAA tournament this year, probably go to their first Final Four. If that happens, we'll be back.
Do not unsubscribe.
If Missouri is in the Elite Eight playing for a trip to the Final Four,
you will see us
You'll
again.
hear from us. And I'll say that for any season in the future. We'll put that out there. So that's all the topical stuff, probably. I thought we could take a trip down memory lane, and I thought maybe we could formulate the All-MSP football team and All-MSP basketball team. So this is a very subjective list based on players that we will always associate with this time in our lives where we did this podcast, players that we talked about a lot on the show and were meaningful part of Mizzou football and basketball during this time, or just special to us in particular.
So pretty much anybody that played from 2018 to 2024 range would probably be guys on this list.
And we separately came up with our like short lists that we're going to just try to maybe get like 5 offensive players, 5 defensive players for football, and then maybe like a starting 5 for basketball. And we'll just see where it goes. So let's start with football, and I'll let you pick offense or defense.
Let's go defense. I think it was a little easier to come up with offensive players naturally, but definitely still some big names on the defense that definitely take me back and feel like we talked about a lot.
So we'll try to whittle this down to a top 5, and I think we could both agree that the number one name that goes on this list is a no-brainer, and that would be Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
And one thing in particular that anytime I think of Nick Bolton, when I see him playing for the Chiefs, probably in the Super Bowl, I will always think of the fact that you picked him in one of our early 7-on-7 drafts. I want to say like before his like redshirt freshman season, he was incredibly young. And I think maybe I hadn't even heard of him when you picked him on the show for 7-on-7. And you were like, there's this young guy, Nick Bolton, a linebacker. You were hearing that he was really impressing in camp and he was going to come out.
He was picking up the schemes.
Yes, he was picking it all up. And I don't even think he was like a breakout player that season.
Probably not.
But like obviously we know what he turned into. But you were early on Nick Bolton. He was obviously one of our favorite players to watch the last few years, or, the years that he played while we did the podcast, and has won a Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
The starting linebacker for the Chiefs, just like.
Yeah, he was scoop and score in the Super Bowl 2 season ago.
Oh, yeah. Should have been MVP.
Yeah, he should have been.
Should have been MVP. Yeah, I will say we sold out a little bit on the 7-on-7 drafts, like as they went on a little bit. In the early days of our 7-on-7 drafts, it was literally like, I don't care who is listening to this. I don't care if you've heard of this player. I'm going to find the perfect player for this role.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a player who played offense and defense in high school or whatever, like the most perfect tactician for whatever role I need to fill. And Nick Bolton was perfect for whatever role that I had in mind
Yeah.
for him, and that's how that happened.
And then I can't remember the origin of 5 Nick Boltons. Do you know where did that?
I don't either. Yes, weird. I don't know.
At
It was
one
some
point,
sort of draft, but it wouldn't have been the 7-on-7 draft.
no, it was like, I don't know. If you were
It's
making
probably
a
during
team, and you had-
basketball season.
5 Nick Boltons. That's what
I don't
did.
remember the context behind that. I just remember that phrase.
I take 5 Nick Boltons in any situation.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a second name for defense that you like for the top 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chris Abrams-Drain.
Yeah.
Another like classic 7-on-7 guy.
Yeah.
Played offensive defense in high school.
Recruited as a wide receiver.
Came in as a wide receiver. Said, "Sure, coach, I'll be a good guy, and I'll switch to cornerback because you need me there." Ends up being one of the best corners in the country. Really, probably his junior and senior year. Probably even a little underappreciated, honestly. He's in the NFL now. He's playing really well for the Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Was a
And-
leader on the 11-win season.
Yes, a huge part of some of the best teams that Missouri's had in a while. And we've got a jersey in that closet right over there.
I forgot.
Got a
about
Chris
that.
Abrams-Drain jersey in this room. So yeah, he's been a memorable guy.
Yeah, Chris Abrams-Drain. And I like the guys that he would have been a Barry Odom recruit.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, those guys that crossed over,
He crossed over.
kept it going.
Yeah.
Nick Bolton, Chris Abrams-Drain. That's what a combo there. I feel like if I want to kind of diversify the position groups a little bit, but even regardless, and I'm not trying to be too heavy on the 2023 season, although a lot of the best players are going to be from that team. I think I gotta suggest Darius Robinson,
Of course.
Mizzou true son, guys that come in. I mean, all 3 of these guys so far recruited out of high school, spent their whole year at Mizzou or whole career at Mizzou,
Did their time.
developed nicely, and went on to the NFL.
Yeah, Darius Robinson's a no-brainer. I agree.
Although, like, the 3 guys so far weren't really like big time recruits necessarily. Right. These guys were all diamonds in the rough that developed.
Yeah.
They were not guys that we were talking about on the podcast. Like, they weren't like Tiger 10 guys, who names that we were talking about constantly with recruiting.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a guy that did make a splash in the recruiting game, in the recruiting world, and that's Ennis Rakestraw.
Ennis Rakestraw. Yeah, I have him on my list as well.
I can remember where I was when he committed to Missouri back in whenever that was, 2018, 2019. I don't remember at this point. Somebody I'm sure out there knows. I'd actually, 2019, even 2020 maybe. That was Coach Drinkwitz's first recruiting class.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the classic, the video
Yeah.
of him celebrating.
Yes. I think I will always remember that and his reaction to it and how genuine it was. And I think he legitimately didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And for Ennis to come in and kind of back that up, and he still wasn't like a super like heralded recruit necessarily.
Right.
I definitely, some of the big dogs were sniffing around for sure by the end of his recruitment there, but he was still like a 3-star recruit. And
that was like a point of that was like a thing to make fun of Coach Drinkwitz about.
Yeah.
That you see on Twitter or
Yes.
something, like, oh, he's getting this excited about a 3-star guy.
right. But obviously, Coach Drinkwitz knew.
Yeah.
He knew he had something, and again, another guy who's in the NFL now. He's playing for the Lions, and just a great Missouri career. Just a high energy, high emotion guy, and it was very memorable.
Yeah. Another, part of that 11-win season as well. Okay, for the 5th spot here, I feel like we need to just like toss some names around and see what sticks maybe. Because I've got 3 guys here that I'll just throw out there, and then we'll see if we can top them. Maybe you've got some more names that we should consider. Tyree Gillespie, Joshua Bledsoe, Isaiah McGuire. Those are 3 guys that I feel like are kind of in the same mold as these others. that came in as recruits, then developed and earned their playing time, and then played really well.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
All of those guys were Barry Odom recruits, maybe.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I also had Isaiah McGuire. I can feel like I can remember him and kind of just seeing his development and getting on the field some early, but really developing into an NFL caliber player by the time he was done. I also have Dalen Carnell.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And I have Martez Manuel.
Martez Manuel, I actually have him in my 5th spot.
Yeah. Those are the 3 extra guys that I had that we didn't find a spot for.
Probably I would give it. I would want to give it to Martez Manuel, I think.
Yeah.
I still feels a little bit 2023 heavy, but
yeah.
What are you going to do?
He's a Como guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm going to put him down. Is there anybody from that's Barry Odom era? Producer Cameron mentioned Terry Beckner Jr.
Yeah. That was probably really early days of our podcast. A big transfer that comes to mind was a Caleb Evans.
Oh, yeah.
Cornerback who is in the NFL now.
Yeah. We had some, I'm thinking about transfer. We had a run of transfer linebackers there after Nick Bolton.
Tyron Hopper.
Blaze Aldridge.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopper was excellent.
He was great.
I feel like we've got a good 5 here.
Yeah.
Let us know who you would add or subtract, but I don't think you can go wrong with Nick Bolton.
Just and it's not even how good they are necessarily. Yeah. It's just memorable guys from this era.
Yes.
From the last 6-7 years.
Nick Bolton, Chris Abrams-Drain, Darius Robinson, Ennis Rakestraw, Martez Manuel.
And hopefully we're not forgetting anyone really major. I don't think we are, though.
I don't think so. Let us know in the comments if there's somebody you would put in the top 5 of the All-MSP defense. I think you take those 5 guys, put them on. If those 5 guys are on your Mizzou football team every year, you're going to have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Okay, kick us off with offense.
Yeah. I think there's 2 guys that are really, really obvious choices that have been easily 2 of the guys we talked about most out of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually going to go with number 1 in my heart.
Okay, I know. Okay.
And that's Tyler Bidet.
Tyler Bidet.
Formerly Tyler Beatty.
Yes.
Man, he is the quintessential MSP Missouri football player. And I mean, I don't even think I was doing it as a bit, but it became a bit that I just said I love Tyler Beatty.
Yeah.
I would just say that all the time.
Yeah.
Because, man,
how could you not?
How could you not? But it was before he was even playing that much. Yeah. I don't know why I loved Tyler Beatty so much, but I just had a good feeling about him. And he was a 2-star recruit from Memphis or something.
Yes.
And he was a playmaker, and he turned out to be incredible.
He gave us a scare, not when his pants came down, but when we liked when that happened. When he flirted with transferring, or it was a little iffy.
Yeah.
When the coaching change happened, if he was going to stick around,
that would have been devastating.
And it was maybe he goes home to Memphis.
Yeah.
But he came back to Mizzou.
I had kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I was kind of convinced that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's honestly, that makes a lot of sense. He's going to go home to Memphis, whatever.
Instead, he came back and had one of the best running back seasons in Mizzou history.
Yeah.
Could have been more if he would have played in that bowl game.
Yeah, Coach Drinkwood said, hey, man, when I find my running back, I play him 99% of the time. Yeah. That could be you.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen this happen yet, but can you trust me? Yeah, I feel what a player. Is he still kicking around the NFL?
So he actually also, I believe, played for the Broncos most recently. Maybe he's still on the roster, but
he got hurt.
He had a pretty serious neck injury this season in a game, and when it went on IR.
Season.
Yeah, so that's the most recent thing. I don't know if he's still with the team or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm looking at producer Cameron for all my Broncos news.
Sure. Yeah.
Why does it feel like a lot of Mizzou players have played for the Broncos?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shane Ray.
Shane Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
That's it.
Drew Lock.
Oh, yeah.
Drew Lock, Chris Abrams-Drain.
Yeah. Drew Lock.
Alberto.
Alberto. There we go. Yeah, okay. So those are some older names that, like, I was considering Alberto, but I don't know. I just feel like, his career, he would have played 2 seasons, 2 podcast seasons.
Yeah, at least one for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
And that last season was disappointing just all around.
I could barely even remember.
Like Kelly Bryant's season.
Oh, yeah. Was he still there, Kelly Bryant year? Okay.
He was there.
Oh, yeah.
He was there. Oh, yep. He was there. All right.
They knew each other.
He played an important role.
Yes, of course. Okay, so football offense, we got Tyler Beatty. I think you just got to give it to Brady Cook.
Yeah.
You got to put him there. The starting quarterback for 4 of the 6 seasons that we did this show.
Of course.
Producer Cameron made that graphic when he started the bowl game.
Yeah. It was actually a little bit before that because we were like calling for him to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was a redshirt freshman.
I'll never forget that.
We were hollering for him.
We've talked about him so much, obviously.
Yeah.
And I made the pitch for his legendary status a couple episodes ago.
Yes, you did.
Or last week, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was talking about quarterbacks though. I was considering some other names there. Tyler Macon was out there.
Okay.
Mizzou legend.
Yeah.
Sean Robinson.
Alcorn State legend. Tyler Macon.
Do you remember Sean Robinson?
Of course, I remember Sean Robinson.
Oh man,
Famous Missouri safety.
That's right. I actually forgot about safety Sean Robinson. Wow, what a legend.
Yeah.
I was looking at, when I was compiling names, I was looking at the 2019 quarterback room with Sean Robinson,
Some names.
Kelly Bryant, Connor Bazelak, and Taylor Powell.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they all started. I'm pretty sure Taylor Powell started a game or 2 in his Mizzou career.
Yep.
All 4 of those guys had a start, at least one start.
Tommy Locke.
Tommy Locke is a name we could have put on the list.
Connor Bazelak, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that interception in overtime against Boston College.
That's memorable.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to go with Brady Cook there. And if you're going to go Brady Cook, you got to go Luther Burden.
Yeah.
Luther Burden to the house.
Yeah.
Luther Burden's name being in the title of episodes single-handedly carried some off-season content for us.
When he was a recruit still.
Yes. Yeah, that's the first guy we've mentioned in either offense or defense that's obviously nobody was a bigger recruit in the MSP era.
Yeah, I mean, one of
Burden.
the single most important players in Missouri football history.
Yeah.
Ring of honor type player. Obviously, he'll be remembered forever.
Yeah.
At Missouri, no matter what era you're talking about. But obviously, yes, his Missouri career was squarely in the mix of the MSP era as well.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. I was looking back through, it's insane how long ago we started talking about him.
Yeah.
When he was a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even playing for East St. Louis yet when we started talking about him on this show.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2025.
Yep.
Tyler Beatty, Brady Cook, Luther Burden.
Oh, I forgot to also say Sam Horn is another quarterback name.
Yes.
Just a guy we talked about a ton on this show. He's played 14 career snaps.
Yes. His career, he's got a lot ahead of him still.
14 career snaps, I don't know, 17 pitches and a really serious surgery.
Yeah. We haven't seen the last of him though.
That's true. It could be back.
Yeah, his story is still to be written. Okay, give me another offensive name. I feel like we got to get some linemen in here.
Yeah. How about Caden Green?
Caden Green. That's an interesting one.
He's a guy we talked about a lot.
Yeah.
For maybe kind of unique reasons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, played his first full season at Missouri this season. It was a big recruit that we talked about a lot,
Yeah.
and
Broke our hearts.
broke our hearts.
Mended it.
And yeah, then the massive, dramatic transfer that I don't think anybody really saw coming, including Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. I'll throw out Javon Foster.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like he was a perennial 7-on-7 pick, maybe only by me. But he was a guy that developed over the course of his career at Mizzou and was drafted, I think, right? Maybe not.
I think so.
Yeah. I also, if we're talking about linemen, I love Connor Tollison.
Oh, yeah.
And he's started so many games already in his career and was so good this year before he got hurt. I don't know. I feel like I want a lineman. I don't know. We may have to hold off on that for now.
Yeah.
Do you have another just home run, no-brainer for the top 5 offense?
Yeah. I got a couple running backs. And I know we've already talked about Tyler Beatty, home run, MSP guy. But I think you have to mention Cody Schrader.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you have to mention Larry Roundtree.
Yeah.
2 of my favorite players that I've ever watched. And both Larry Roundtree and Cody Schrader, like, kind of similar situations a little bit. Like, neither one of them are probably, like, supremely talented. Not the fastest guys you're ever going to see. Not the quickest or the most agile or anything, but guys that just worked harder than anybody else.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 2 of the hardest runners ever to put on a Mizzou uniform.
Yeah. Really unique guys that I think were just beloved by everybody.
You know who gets overlooked in the 2020s? Looking back is Demaria Crockett.
Oh, yeah.
Now, wait, was he the one that flipped his commitment from Boise State to Mizzou? Or was that Roundtree?
That was Crockett.
Okay. Yeah, we had a nice, that's something to look at. The running back run that Mizzou has been on, pretty impressive.
Yeah. I don't know how Crockett ended up ever going to Boise State. He never went to Boise State, but he was from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's
I know. Under-recruited, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cody Schrader, also, he had a carry in the NFL in Week 18 for the Rams.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
I think, when we first talked about him joining Mizzou, it was like, okay, we've seen this before.
Yeah. I feel like even the diehards were talking about Cody Schrader having a meaningful role before, I guess it was probably right before the season. Maybe it was even like fall camp. He was getting a little bit of buzz. Some of the guys in our Discord, various forums online, people were talking about Cody Schrader. And I just could not for 1 second even believe that there was anything to that. No offense, Cody Schrader.
Right.
But I was just like, there's just no way this dude's going to play.
Yeah, it almost makes him not a candidate for the All-MSP team because he's like...
We didn't talk about him that
the
much.
The opposite of Tyler Beatty and Nick Bolton. Whereas this guy's on the roster, but you really think we are going to talk about him very much? And then he's like, well, actually, I'm a Heisman finalist.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me throw a random name, not too random, but let me throw a name out here before I forget. Mookie Cooper.
I thought about that.
Interesting story with him being a member of the Tiger 10.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
No?
I don't think he was.
Okay.
I can't remember what year he would have been, though.
That's okay. But a kid from Missouri who was like, okay, it'd be really cool to keep him in state.
Yeah.
And then just that dream just vanished quickly.
Yeah.
Seems like, okay, there's this recruitment for Mookie Cooper. Nope, don't worry about it. He's going to Ohio State. And then, bad timing to be a wide receiver, to be like a not elite prospect.
Yes.
And commit to Ohio State as a wide receiver.
Yes.
He picked a bad time to do that.
Yeah.
But he figured it out pretty quick and came home.
Yep, that's true. And I think he had a really solid career at Mizzou. How about Kibet Chepitor? Man, that's fun to say. I hope I'm saying it right.
Kibet Chepitor. Oh, man.
I
know who will let us know in the comments if you're not saying it right.
I think he's a tight end.
Kibet Chepitor, yeah. He's a tight end. He's all name team.
All name team, and man, do we love him.
Man, did he ever catch a pass?
No clue. But you know who did was Logan Muckey.
Logan Muckey. He just caught a pass in the bowl game.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, he was like a freshman like before we started the podcast, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
He's been on the roster a long time.
Yeah.
So is Cody Schrader on the team or not since we doubted him his entire career?
Probably not.
It's up to you.
Shout out Cody Trader, but not making the team.
No.
Not good enough.
No. Okay.
He's heard that before.
Yeah. We are keeping the chip on his shoulder alive.
Exactly.
So you're welcome. Okay.
Do we need a tight end in there?
I don't know. Who are you going to put? Messiah Swenson? He was supposed to be good.
Yeah. Everybody's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
We're excited about all the recruits. No.
True.
I mean, honestly, Albert O probably has to be considered for that. Brett Norfleet has to be considered for that. Nico Hay had a little bit of a run there.
Uh-huh. Let me give you. I feel like our top three are so good that it's going to be kind of hard to find the last two maybe. But let me just throw a name out there: Micah Wilson. He'll always have a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Was a quarterback, and then just switched to wide receiver, and then actually contributed on some, so-so Mizzou teams.
He had that really legendary catch in the LSU game where he just burned everybody by 20 yards.
Yes. I feel like somebody out there has been saying Barrett Bannister this entire time we've been talking.
Maybe Barrett himself, he's listening.
Yeah, shout
That's
out
probably
Barrett
the only
Bannister.
person. I don't know. Thea Weiss.
Who are you feeling like deserves these last two spots?
Bud Sasser.
Bud Sasser gets both spots. I can go with that. Shout out Bud Sasser, friend of the show. I don't know. Tyler Beatty, Brady Cook, Luther Burden. Fill the last two spots.
Do you have to go by position or it's just any position?
Whatever you think. Some part of me wants to diversify it by position, but it's not necessary.
I think I got to put Larry Roundtree on there.
Okay.
And you fill in the last one. The thing is where I feel like we're missing guys on offense that we probably haven't even mentioned that would probably fit here.
I don't know. I feel like there was a run of wide receivers who played one season and transferred.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could rattle those guys off. And then on defense, we've had so many transfers in that were big time contributors. I mean, Joseph Charleston, I feel like is a name that we'll remember for a while. That was I don't know, a little bit underrated for how solidly he contributed to some really good teams. For the last spot,
Mookie?
Let's go Mookie. Yeah, I like that. So the top five All-MSP offense: Tyler Beatty, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, Larry Roundtree, and Mookie Cooper.
Some good guys right there.
And I got to say defense one more time: Nick Bolton, Chris Abrams-Rain, Darius Robinson, Ennis Rakestraw, Martez Manuel. Wow. We nailed it. That's a top 10. I'll be satisfied the rest of my life.
You're going to have to be.
Yeah. Special teams, though. Give me Harrison Mevis and Corey Fatoni.
Oh, yeah. I will never forget when Harrison Mevis first committed, and we would have had a Prabula situation on our hands because you said Harrison Mevis. And I will always remember that. And I feel like we were kind of too small at that point. We didn't have, barely had any commenters. Nobody called us out.
No, Doug wasn't there to let us know.
And I don't think I said anything, or maybe I did challenge you. I don't remember, but that happened.
I struggled with that. I wanted it to be Mevis real bad.
Yeah.
Every time he came up, I was like, wait a second. Mevis. Well, Harrison Mevis.
He was a good kicker.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He had some big moments.
Yeah.
Harrison Mevis, Corey Fatoni. I'm going with special teams there. Long snapper. Give me a long snapper.
Daniel Hawthorne.
There we go.
That was his name.
Yep. Put him down for
Friend
long snapper.
of the show. Formerly.
All-MSP long snapper, Daniel Hawthorne. That's just an incredible list. I don't see how anybody could have any issues with that. But if you do, let us know in the comments. And then you had an excellent idea of doing all recruit team.
Yeah.
Oh, but let's do basketball first.
Let's do basketball.
Yeah. So do we want to do a starting five and try to get it positionally accurate?
Sure.
Okay. Start wherever you want. Who's the most? There's one guy that I feel like is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's got to be Kobe Brown.
We'll pencil him in at the 4 spot.
Okay, that sounds good.
Do you remember where we were when Kobe Brown committed to the Missouri Tigers? We were
No.
together.
No.
I think I'm remembering this right. We were in Kansas City about to eat some barbecue,
That sounds about right.
and we were going to either see a Tool show, or was it when we saw Theo Vaughn live?
Were we going to Arthur Bryant's?
It was
Or Joe's?
people are going to hate that I don't know anything about Kansas City barbecue. We went to like a standalone sit down restaurant.
Okay, that was Joe's.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the Tool show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like in the parking lot before we went inside, we were like waiting because we were watching like on your phone or
Yes.
something, his
Man.
announcement.
I would have never remembered that.
And he was previously committed to Texas A&M
Yep.
and decommitted and came to Mizzou and bridged the gap from Konzo to Dennis Gates. Man.
Yeah, Konzo recruit.
Yeah.
People forget that.
Yes. Kobe Brown, just incredible player. Just the textbook, like develop over 4 years, doesn't quite have the physicals to jump to the NBA early, but just solid. We just love those tweeners
Yes.
that the NBA doesn't want anything to do with,
Yeah.
but just
At least not yet. Ended
Right.
up being a first round pick though,
Exactly, yeah.
which kind of blew my mind to be honest. But first round pick in the NBA draft, wins an NCAA tournament game for the first time in like 12 years for Missouri.
Yeah, was just instrumental in bringing Mizzou basketball back
Yeah.
from the depths.
Yeah, played 4 years. So obviously the guy we talked about a ton.
Got to be an all-time favorite. So Kobe Brown. Now from here, it gets interesting because I feel like he's the only like sure thing guy that just like perfectly his career spans where we were talking about him nonstop. I'm going to give you Drew Smith as a guy that, actually went to the NCAA tournament. And I might as well mention Xavier Pinson here as well.
Yeah.
Pinson and Drew Smith, that backcourt duo,
I had both those guys.
they got bounced by Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament. But other than that, I mean, they were fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they both go in it. Didn't we, we titled an episode, Our Lord and Xavier.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of our first like YouTube episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did he do? I can't remember. You must have.
He's just good.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's just fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, I don't think he was a super big recruit really,
No.
but you could see like he had the measurables and stuff. It was, had the length and
Quickness.
Yeah. And really kind of hit his ceiling of range of outcomes in my mind and was a great player there for a while in a totally complete opposite way that Drew Smith was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they complemented each other nicely.
Yeah.
Drew Smith transferred in from Evansville.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I remember watching him play here in Springfield when he still played for Evansville.
And there was another guy on Evansville that we were talking about maybe getting in the transfer portal.
Yep.
That was like
He was even more like highly touted than Drew Smith was.
more of a scorer.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we got the Evansville transfer, but it's Drew Smith. Who is this guy?
Yes.
And he he's been back and forth between the NBA and the G League in the Miami Heat system, but he just recently had a torn Achilles.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but he'll live forever in our hearts. Drew Smith and Xavier Pinson. We're basically just so far we've just recreated like the 2020 Mizzou basketball season.
Yeah. I think I don't want to include this person, but while we're talking about this group of players of someone we just talked about a lot, was probably Mark Smith.
Yeah.
I think of him when I think of those guys.
For sure.
I'll give you a possible starting five. What do you think about Jeremiah Tillman?
I think you got to have Tillman in there.
Yeah.
We talked about him so much. He locked down the 5 spot for 4 seasons, only one of which we were not doing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the new listeners, we were not doing this podcast on during Konzo's first season, the Michael Porter Jr. Jonte season.
Yep. Which was also Tillman's first season.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I was bringing that up. Forgot what I was talking about.
Remember in the Iowa State game so we went to that game. It was the first game for everybody that we just mentioned. And we went to go see Michael Porter Jr., but I remember coming away impressed with Tillman, obviously, because MPJ got hurt. But Tillman was great in his first ever game in a Missouri uniform.
Well, he was even good. He flashed in that exhibition against Kansas.
That's true. That would have been that year, obviously.
And yeah, I mean, the story with Tillman was always, first of all, foul trouble. And second of all, he like came in with like a certain polish, and just kind of it was like incremental improvement. But
that is true. It is very weird how that happened. Yeah, he came in polished, never really seemed to get better or worse. Man, I forgot about the foul trouble.
Yeah,
that was an insane thing.
Yeah.
It's like no matter who the ref was. Like
it was like it was in the refs' heads.
I think it was.
Yeah.
He was in the. They were in his head, I think, though.
Yeah,
as well.
It's probably mutual. Yeah. So we've got 2 guards, the 4 and 5 spot.
Yeah.
We've got Drew Smith, Xavier Pinson, Kobe Brown, and Jeremiah Tillman. Which did they? So yeah, the 2020 season, they all played. That was Kobe Brown's freshman year. Did Pinson come back for 2021? Yeah, that was the year that that was like a COVID shortened season, but they went to the NCAA tournament and lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, we watched that one in the old studio together and did an instant reaction of us being sad.
That's right. That's right.
And then we took a vacation.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel tempted to just add a 5th guy from that team.
I've got the perfect 3 guard.
Who's it going to be?
You remember Ed Chang?
Dang. Yeah, put Ed Chang in there.
Okay, no, I actually have a very interesting name that wasn't on that team.
Okay.
He's kind of took a unique journey that was interwoven with this podcast for the entire journey.
Okay.
And that's Isaiah Mosley.
Isaiah Mosley. I like that. Yes. Yes, he was in the same recruiting class as Mario McKinney, and obviously Kansas guy, I don't care about him. And yeah, went to Missouri State.
Yeah, and we were like, wow, what a great get from Missouri State.
Yeah, we went and watched him play. You were with me, right? When we watched them, we watched that Rockbridge team play against Caleb Love and CBC in the state championship game.
That's exactly right.
Caleb Love was a junior.
Yeah, the 3-headed monster.
Yeah, who was the other guy? Javonta Black.
Yes.
Javonta Black?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Konzo said, no, we don't want any of you.
We don't want any of your talent here.
No. You're from Columbia? You get out of here.
Yeah, and then he speaking of like hitting their top of range outcomes, like he does that at Missouri State.
Yeah.
He was scoring like 30 a game.
Isaiah Mosley. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
He played for Dennis Gates.
Yeah. It never felt like he really found his momentum, like
Yeah.
found his stride at Missouri. It just obviously
Man.
there's things going on in his life that
Yes.
we'll never know about, but
Isaiah Mosley at Mizzou, it feels like a dream.
it does.
Wow.
But every once in a while, he'd come in and he'd hit some shots,
Yeah.
and we'd be like, "It's happening."
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I think we put him down as the third or as the last guy there. I was thinking I like that, but if you want to go big and like bump Kobe Brown to the 3, you could throw Axel Okongo in there.
Oh yeah, legendary Missouri player Axel Okongo.
When you were going to name somebody for the 3 spot, I thought you might go KJ Santos.
Oh yeah, all hype team for sure.
You also could have included Jordan Wilmore, MSP legend.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
But we're going to go with Drew Smith, Xavier Pinson, Isaiah Mosley, Kobe Brown, Jeremiah Tillman.
Jordan Wilmore.
Jordan Wilmore, Axel Okongo, and KJ Santos off the bench. And Drew Buggs. I gotta just...
Could that team, you put like those 5 guys you just mentioned,
Yeah.
you let them play, I don't know, like the 100th ranked team on Kim Palm. I don't know who it is, but just like an average college basketball team.
Yeah.
Those guys play all 40 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Could they score like 20 points?
Wait, who are we talking about?
Those guys you just named.
Okongo, Santos, Jordan Wilmore, and Drew Buggs?
Yeah. I guess I thought you named 5. We'll throw Ed
with
Chang
Ed
in there.
Chang in there.
Yeah, could that squad score like 20 points in their like Missouri days? I mean, Drew Buggs was like actually a
He could
player that
distribute,
played.
yeah.
He could dribble the ball.
He played
and not
basketball.
turn it over.
The other guys, though,
I mean,
we don't know about Ed Chang, really. Probably,
we're getting a little mean here.
we are getting a little mean, but those 5 guys probably wouldn't. But if you added Sean Duru Gordon to the mix, then I think you
There you
get to
go.
20.
Of course.
And we're mentioning those guys because we love them and they're a meaningful part of our lives.
They certainly were.
Yes. And it's not disparaging in any way. Seriously, though, you mentioned Mark Smith. I think you got to throw a couple other guys that I just love deep down. Mitchell Smith,
Okay.
Javon Pickett,
Yes.
just the classic, like asked to do way too much, way too early.
Yep.
Torrance Watson was the same way.
Man, he was like the chosen one.
Yes. Torrance Watson had to have been the best player you've ever seen in practice.
He had like such a fun high school like highlight reel too.
Yeah.
Just like, man, this guy's like, his shot is so beautiful.
Yes.
And it's like, there's no way this guy isn't good.
He had an okay freshman season.
Yeah.
That's about it. There's a famous story about him, Kim Anderson recruiting him in high school and like basically got him to commit. And then this is rumor, this is hearsay, but the rumor is he was ready to commit to Kim Anderson. And then his mom, Torrance Watson's mom, was like, "No, you're not." And basically, she knew and was like, "You're not doing this." And he actually committed to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Before
I remember that.
joining the Tigers. Yeah, man, that transition from Kim Anderson to Konzo was just like, how many people that like had their eye on Mizzou basketball were like, "Oh, thank God we can actually consider them now."
A lot.
Yeah. I also had to put down Demoy Hodge because I just feel like for that Dennis Gates team that won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in forever, he was instrumental in that.
Yeah.
And for a transfer from the level that he was coming from, just light it up.
Yeah.
Mizzou legend.
He's a great one.
Okay, so that's football and basketball. The All-MSP teams, these guys are absolute legends. Now, we've mentioned some of these guys maybe offhand so far, but we want to talk about some recruits because some of the guys that we've talked about the most on this podcast never even played for the Missouri Tigers. We just wanted them to for years and years and years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like some of the guys we talked about the most out of anyone never even ended up at Missouri.
Because we talk about their first career as recruits before they ever step on the field. Let's kick it back to football. I don't know. Like that, we mentioned the Tiger 10 a couple times already.
Yeah.
And we even did a Tiger 10, where are they now?
Yeah.
A couple years ago to check back in on all these guys.
Yeah, and there were very few of them that really did a whole lot.
Yeah.
With their college careers. One in particular was Ronnie Perkins. That he was the opposite. He had a great college career, was a really, really good player, and it felt like from the beginning, I think a lot of people knew that to be the case. Like he was probably the one that Missouri wanted the most out of the Tiger 10. But
we already had Ronell.
That's true. We had his brother.
Couldn't do it.
But it's insane how much these guys lived rent free in my head. Like in 2018,
Kyle, Barry Odom got them all on campus together. The Tiger 10
was such a beautiful thing.
We're on campus.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would put Ronnie Perkins in that bucket. Another guy from the Tiger 10 that we talked about probably just as much was Trevor Trout. Mm-hmm. And Trevor Trout was a defensive lineman from St. Louis. And he was also really he tweeted a lot and stuff. Like I feel like he was just on my feed a lot, and so he was just I don't know, he was just in front of my face a lot.
Top of mind awareness.
Yeah, exactly. He's building that brand.
Yeah. Daniel Parker Jr., part of the Tiger 10, the only one that came to Mizzou. He also bridged the gap.
Wow.
Between Barry Odom, and he was the first player that Eli Drinkwitz introduced himself to. There's video of it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Tiger 10, we were talking about those guys.
How about a guy that wasn't in the Tiger 10? How about Ryan Wingo?
Oh, man. Oh, God. Nightmares.
Yeah.
And it's not over.
It's not over. He's unfortunately very good and made some big plays for Texas this season, and I think he's just a true freshman.
Yeah.
So he'll be around.
Probably playing Ohio State in the semifinal.
Well, that's what we think.
Yeah, we talked about him a lot. Trying to think. You know who we talked about a lot as a recruit that actually came to Mizzou? Travion Ford.
I thought about that. He was like the one person I almost put on this list that went to Missouri.
Yeah.
We did talk about him a lot and did nothing.
Yeah. Man, Missouri, this is almost, we almost don't want to do this too much because it's almost depressing. The misses from the state of Missouri. Dante Manning, Antonio Doyle.
Antonio Doyle was a guy I wrote down. And he committed to Missouri in the early days.
I forgot about that.
And then, of course, decommitted and went to Texas A&M. And then, somewhat recently, transferred from Texas A&M, but I don't remember where he ended up.
I don't either. And Dante Manning was just playing in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and he got mossed by somebody the other day. We were watching the game.
Yeah.
He gave up a big play.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, hey, there's
Probably
Dante Manning.
Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got way more basketball recruits than football.
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't spend a whole lot of time thinking about this, honestly, but that was the main football guys that I wrote down, but I'm sure there's a ton more.
The basketball recruit that we talked about the most was the aforementioned Caleb Love.
Just the MVP
Yes.
of the all-recruit team was Caleb Love.
Man.
I mean, similar with Antonio Doyle, except way more intensified, was we thought we had him for round 2.
Oh, right.
It happened again.
Yeah.
Twice we thought he was ours.
Yeah. And he was gonna, I had it all planned out. Caleb Love was gonna be the centerpiece of the Conzo Martin team that made a run, you know? His sophomore year before he went pro was gonna be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
That only ever happened in my head, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was another one of those guys that was just you watch his tape and it's man, he just has it all. He just does everything well. And that kind of ended up being true. He was an elite scorer. Yeah. He was inefficient. Yeah. But he was a good college basketball player.
Transferred to Arizona.
Yeah.
Imagine if you said, when we were talking about him as a recruit, if you're also, I'm not going to tell you where he commits, but he's going to play 4 years of college basketball.
We would have died. Yeah, I think he He was a name that we would have been talking about on day one of this podcast.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. So that long ago, we would have been talking about him, Mario McKinney as a recruit. That recruiting class, we were hot and heavy on Mario McKinney, Trey Jackson, Malik Hall.
I was just about to say that.
And then producer Cameron's favorite, Rocket Watts.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of Michigan guys.
Yeah.
Remember for like a stretch of time there, like every single recruit Akonzo was reaching out to, which wasn't very many.
Yeah.
Was all like 6'7" forwards.
6'7" forwards, and like half of them were from Michigan and never going to come to Mizzou.
If there is anybody out there, which I know there's probably a few MSP listeners who've been around for the majority of the time, like
6'7"
you're
forward.
probably like laughing out loud right now
Yeah.
because that's something that we talked about so much probably 4 or 5 years ago.
There's one more basketball recruit that we talked about a ton, and that was E.J. Liddell. And we watched him play
Oh man.
at the Tournament of Champions in Springfield, Missouri.
I think I maybe wanted EJ Liddell more than Caleb Love. Like as far as like a single recruit, I wanted more than anyone else other than like MPJ or somebody.
Sure.
Like it would have been him.
Yeah. And E.J. Liddell, we knew. Everybody knew. Like, this is a 4-year kid. Like,
Yes.
he is like close to his physical peak, and he's like fundamentally sound. He maybe has a shot in the NBA as
Yes.
like a Kobe Brown-esque
Yes.
tweener forward.
The most perfect like college basketball player you will ever like dream of.
Ready to contribute day one and probably not going to the NBA.
Yes.
You couldn't
And that's
ask for more.
Exactly what he was.
Yeah.
He was an incredible player.
And then we found out, at some point in his recruitment, we found out that Ohio State was his dream school. And we were
crushing.
like, okay, well, that's probably over. And we watched him play at the Tournament of Champions, and the announcer pronounced his name. Doug would have hated this. He said, E.J. Liddell.
I almost said Liddell just now. Like
Yeah.
that's who he is now.
Yeah.
It's EJ Liddell.
E.J. Liddell. We were the Doug. At that point, we were like, he's saying it wrong.
Yeah.
I almost went and told him. But yeah, I mean, Caleb Love, Mario McKinney, Trey Jackson, Malik Hall, Rocket Watts, E.J. Liddell, that's a Final Four team if I've ever seen one.
Probably.
And Trey Jackson actually came to Mizzou.
Yeah,
Forget about
did.
that. And then had a whole other career at Seton Hall.
And then he went to Michigan.
Did he? Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
He was somehow like failed upwards.
Yeah. Rocket Watts also, I think he left Michigan State at one point. He was in the NCAA tournament with somebody
Don't remember.
a couple
who.
years ago.
Yeah.
Mario McKinney bounced around a little bit.
Oakland.
Rocket Watts with Oakland.
Are you
I was just looking it
serious?
up.
Yeah. Oakland,
Oh, wow.
Oakland, Michigan. It was like back home or something, right? It's not Oakland, California.
Oakland
Wait,
University.
Oakland
Wherever that
University.
They're in Michigan?
I think we talked about it at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Producer Cameron can't help us, even with the internet at his
He's like
fingertips.
shaking his head back there. Like,
He's like,
don't
I
ask me,
know.
man.
Oakland University. What do you want from me?
Oakland Golden Grizzlies. That's all I got.
I would have assumed they were in Oakland,
Yeah, they're in Michigan.
California.
Oakland, Michigan.
They're the Golden Grizzlies. So Oakland and Golden, very California.
Yeah. California Golden Bears.
Yeah. But the
Gate
Oakland
Bridge.
Golden Grizzlies are not.
Not in
Golden State
California.
Warriors.
Yeah. Golden Bay. Oh, okay. They just ripped off California. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oakland, Michigan just copied California's homework.
Basically.
Okay, yeah, those are some recruits. I feel like those are all from way back in the day.
Yeah.
Then there for a little while.
Yeah, we just started getting everybody like
Yeah.
in recent years.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like there for a little while, I was like, okay, well, no need to talk about any of the top recruits because they're not coming here. And then the
Yeah.
Dennis Gates effect changed everything.
Yeah, yes. I was for some reason I was thinking football really quick. Another more recent football guy that I just thought of was Jeremiah McClellan. Just randomly thought of that also, but yeah, in football that was the case too. I feel like a lot of the guys we talked about were from several years ago, and then we kind of started getting everybody in football too.
Yeah, I feel like there's still like some tippy top guys like Jamison Jameson
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah. Same thing with him. We thought we might have a shot at him 2 different times.
Yeah. Yep. We got Kevin Coleman though.
Yeah. It's like 4th time around.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna pick a random season. I'm gonna look at 2021 basketball recruits from the state of Missouri. There's got to be something good in there. Oh yeah. Okay. That was Aminu Muhammad.
Ooh.
Watched him play in the Tournament of Champions. That was also Anton Brookshire.
Oh,
Wonder what he's up to. And that was also Trevin Brazil and Yaya Kita.
Okay.
Man. Some names if I've ever heard them.
Do you remember Courtney Ramey?
Courtney Ramey. Yes.
Who was the guy? Who was his teammate?
Courtney Ramey and the big guy. They didn't really like each other. I think he went to SLU.
I think he went a couple different places, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I can't remember his name.
Somebody out there is yelling it at us right now.
Yeah.
Webster Groves was the school.
What year would that have been? 2018, 2019? Courtney Ramey had a pretty good college career.
At Texas?
Yeah.
Did he transfer once?
Yep. Did he also play at Arizona? Am I imagining that?
Yes, he did. Man, back then we couldn't even get guys on the second time around. Cartier Gordon.
Yes.
I had to look it up. Same recruiting class as Jericho Helms, Christian Bishop, and one Ochai Agbaji.
Yikes.
There's some misses in that class for Mizzou basketball.
Helms was Chaminade,
Yeah.
and he went to like NC State or somebody.
Yes, like his recruitment blew up late, and then he big timed us for the ACC.
Big time just for NC State.
Yeah, well, at the time. Oh man, Christian Bishop was good too at Creighton. Yeah, that's probably enough. Just naming random people. Although
That's kind of what we do here, man.
I could do it all day long. Knowing that there's people out there that don't want this to ever end, just kind of fuels me a little bit to just keep naming random
It's
people.
like, oh, what else can we think of off the top of our head to say?
But there's one more thing that we actually had planned. Before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Britt. You've heard us talk about him multiple times on the show. Got to bring this back out for the YouTube audience. This is the signed note from Dennis Gates himself that Britt had framed for us. That's been behind me in the studio this whole time on the bookshelf, trying to make sure it doesn't fall off the table
It's
here.
leaning against a box of cookies.
You can see that on YouTube. One of the coolest things since doing this show was finding out that Britt just happened to be sitting next to him on a plane.
Yeah.
Got his autograph for us with a nice note.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. And got it framed for us.
Even has the pin.
Yes. This will be near and dear to our hearts forever, especially after Dennis Gates takes Missouri to the Final Four. At some point, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to give that a shout out. Producer Cameron, you got some questions from the Patreon audience for us.
Yeah, some of the guys in the Discord sent some questions our way.
So we're completely blind to this right now. We have no idea what's coming our way.
So we're gonna go through some of them. They're not that bad.
Okay.
They're not that bad.
Let's see. Let's just go with an easy one. What's like a core Mizzou memory that you guys have? Like could be from when you were like super young.
A core Mizzou memory for me, and I was young because it's just it's non-specific, is just the idea of Quinn Snyder. I knew he was a guy, and I knew he had long hair that always looked greasy. He had this wild look about him.
Yeah.
That was just like a super early kind of vague image of Quinn Snyder.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, okay, whoever the Mizzou basketball coach is, they're going to be near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I'll say a couple. I'll say one is just the entire, I guess it would be 2011, 2012 basketball season. Just, Kim English, Marcus Denman, all that, and number 2 seed year, where just that was the most fun I've ever had watching a team. So that entire season is just, man, that's locked in my brain.
I watched that team play live their first conference game of the season against Oklahoma, and I think they won by 29 or something crazy.
Yeah, I think it might have been 39.
39.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I could look it up, I guess. But Phil Pressey to Matt Pressey alley-oop
Classic.
happened right in front of me
Ooh,
at Mizzou Arena.
that's cool. I will say the other core memory is going to the first Mizzou football game with my dad. I think it was the 08 season, and they played against Nevada, and Colin Kaepernick was their quarterback. But what was memorable was Chase Daniel and Jeremy Macklin. I think they just went off.
Yeah.
And I think they were maybe done by halftime.
Yeah.
They might have played a little bit of the third quarter, but they destroyed Nevada, and Jeremy Macklin was just taking everything to the house. Like I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns. It was a lot of fun, and that was the first Mizzou football game I ever watched in person.
This is not a new one to the audience if you've been listening, but I mean, we already talked about it this episode, but that Iowa State basketball game, first game of Konzo's career.
Yeah.
And I remember getting very excited, me personally, when Jordan Barnett like batted down an inbound pass, like
Yes.
sent it back out of bounds.
Yes.
And I just thought he did a great job.
Yeah, you and I think we went with like a whole group, but you and I were the only ones that actually went to the game.
We went to the football game.
The night after
next
that.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's where my like Mizzou fandom started to like kick off, because we went to that, and then
That's when it started encroaching.
Yep.
Encroaching. I specifically remember that though. Like Jordan Barnett, made a good hands play, and it like knocked the ball. He like deflected it out of bounds. I don't even know, but you were like, yeah, like
It was like
only person in the whole stadium.
yeah.
Like
I just loved that effort out
You
of
did.
Jordan Barnett.
like I think he heard you, and we
Yeah.
were like 12 feet from the roof.
We were in the nosebleeds. I was jazzed about that play. That's whole arena was electric.
Golly, man, that was crazy.
And then the next night, producer Cameron was there. We watched Drew Lock
Yeah.
and company destroy Tennessee.
50 ball.
Tennessee and JG.
JG wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lots of core memories. I could do that all day.
Okay, kind of in that same vein, we had a couple of favorite memories while doing the podcast. So it can be a couple. It can be your top 3. It can be Mizzou related, podcast related.
Producer Cameron was pulling up some clips earlier of random early episodes, and so of course we had to watch a little bit of the Patreon exclusive hot wing challenge that we did.
Yeah.
It was the video ended up being an hour and a half of us trying
Just munching on
Yeah.
hot wings.
basically doing hot ones.
Yeah. It was like
And-
getting more increasingly more hot.
Yes. And so
But we were like answering questions about Mizzou and stuff,
Yeah.
or just life in general
Yeah.
as the wings got more hot.
that was definitely
You could see our mental faculties like slipping.
Yeah.
so all of our like 8 patrons at the time got to watch that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Josh specifically,
Yes.
who is a current Patreon member, I'm pretty sure he like DM'd our Twitter account and said something like, "Hey, if you guys do something like this, I'll join Patreon."
Yeah.
Yes,
And we said, "All right, bet."
That's something that he brought up. He was like, asked about some of your top 3 memories, and then thanked us for doing the hot wings challenge, because that's the whole reason he
we're
joined
like, hey,
the Patreon.
Great idea.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then he kept his side of the deal too.
There's one. You got
Go
one?
ahead.
There's one moment that is actually forever with us, symbolized right here. In 2020, Kyle won SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. For the audio only listeners, I'm holding up the trophy that sits on the desk here in front of us. In 2020, Kyle Armageddon DeVries won SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. And for the life of me, Kyle, I can't remember what Armageddon has to do with anything. Can you tell us? Can you remind us?
Yeah, I think I maybe used that word as an adjective in this situation, but we were mid-podcast, and this was, what was your...
2020.
2020. It was a long time ago. We were mid-podcast, and I had to use the restroom. So we never cut this thing. Like, we never stop for anything, and we had to cut that day because I just could not make it to the end. And for whatever reason, when I got back, that's, I believe, the word I used to describe my situation.
Yes, now I remember you came back to the table and you apologized and said, sorry about that. I had a random Armageddon happen. So that's got to be all-timer.
You already touched on this, but Josh said, surely Tyler Beatty's peach emoji is in the list somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the all-timer for any Mizzou fan, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, lots of funny, like, just misspeaks and just, I don't know, things we've said on accident. And I mean, I won't lie. I mean, we've this has kind of been our hangout time as friends too. Just like every week, this has been wholly protected time where, like, our families know Wednesday night is podcast night. Like, it's just, that's what it is. Literally never planned anything Wednesday nights. That's when we're going to be doing the podcast. And we've really kind of stayed true to that for all these years, and just able to look forward to it after work every single week. And I don't know, just come and randomly say whatever's on our mind. And it's been, I think that just generally that has been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, well, we've done it in 4 different locations now.
Yeah.
We just and accumulated some equipment and all this stuff. Yeah, and basically, I don't know. I'll touch on like us ending for now. You never know what might happen in the future, but like for me, it came down to podcast time used to be in addition to hanging out almost every weekend.
Yeah,
and basically here recently, it's turned into the only time we get to hang out is podcast night, and we're spending most of it talking to the microphones and editing and game planning and all that stuff. And I don't know, that's just what made me think now the few minutes that we get to spend together each week, I don't know, it's a very structured thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, part of us needing to take a break is just trying to reclaim some of that precious time that we have for ourselves, basically. Go ahead, Producer Cameron, you got more?
I was going to go to the next one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have a least favorite moment?
Least favorite? Like any time I hear a little snippet from like any of the first like 100 episodes, probably.
Yeah, I would say we had to go like on Zoom for a little while during COVID.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
That was pretty rough. Just the audio quality was awful. We were trying to do YouTube stuff and
no viewers.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was rough. And
you thought we have no viewers now?
yeah, and just the editing stuff for, like, obviously you guys handle most of that, but it was just a pain for everybody.
Yeah. Same sort of thing, but when the NCAA tournament was canceled,
Oh my God.
Our March Sadness
March
episode.
Sadness.
Yeah, I mean, just generally, like, there's just been some stretches of time where there's not much going on. Like, the teams, whether it's basketball or football, like, isn't very good.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, man, like, there's been some long basketball seasons. Last year was one of them. Where it's like,
honestly, last basketball season, a low point in the history of the podcast.
it's like, how do we keep showing up and talking about this team, man?
I don't want to say that last basketball season killed the Missouri Sports Podcast. That's a joke. It didn't really, but I mean,
yeah. So yeah, there's been a couple low points, but really just mainly external situational things.
yeah. The worst times doing this podcast was when we couldn't record an episode. The random week here or there when we just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
Those were the worst ones.
I missed part of Josh's. Is there any chance that you'll ever come back out of retirement and do a hot wing challenge in the future?
I mean, we can do a hot wing challenge for sure, just for you, Josh. I'll just email it to you.
His own personal hot wing challenge video.
Yeah. NCAA tournament stuff. Mizzou football does play Kansas next year. You never know. There might be.
We've got a few. Is this truly the end of the podcast questions?
You don't want to spoil it too much.
Don't want to spoil it too much. Basically,
like maybe is.
short answer is yes.
We'll probably pop in and out. And I don't know if we'll ever come back full time, but I don't know that we'll totally close that door either.
Yeah.
We'll have the stuff. So
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
crazy.
we're not
something
selling,
crazy happens.
We're not selling the equipment. I'm not spoiler alert, I'm not having another kid anytime soon, so we're not gonna need this room. Oh yeah.
That's what bunk beds are for anyway.
Exactly. But yeah, it's the end for now. The thumbnail text will maybe say goodbye for now.
Our last show,
now.
question mark.
That's pretty good. Last show, question mark.
Tyler wants to know, will Pick'em continue next year in the Discord?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Tyler, if you want to head that up and organize that, and we can all pick against each other, like each individually.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, if you can
No more
create
guest
an
pickers.
if you can create an app or something that like just
Get a
puts it all
spreadsheet
right,
going.
yeah, just keeps it all in one spot for us. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Daddy JD wants to know, in a zombie apocalypse, what would you choose for a vehicle, close range weapon, and long range weapon?
I'm pretty. This got to be like this, almost the same exact question that somebody asked for the hot wings.
Yeah, I'm pretty
if he
sure
asked
that's who it was. I wouldn't have remembered
For a
that if we didn't
vehicle?
just watch. Yeah,
Gotta be the Warthog from like Halo 3.
Okay.
Just run anybody over.
I'm gonna
in
go
that
with I'm gonna choose similar. I'm gonna choose the Batmobile from Christian Bale Batman movies.
Beautiful.
yeah, that's a pretty good.
What do they call it? The Tumbler.
thing. Okay.
That's what Lucius Fox called it.
Short range weapon. I mean, gotta be some kind of sawed-off shotgun or something, right?
Maybe with
Some kind of
maybe with
sword.
a pistol grip.
Maybe a lightsaber.
I'm gonna go with lightsaber as
That's a
long
good
as we
one.
can use fictional.
Trademarked equipment.
Yeah. And long range.
yeah,
Give me
one of those thermal snipers from Fortnite.
I was gonna use a Fortnite weapon. I was gonna go with the not the RPG. I want the grenade launcher from Fortnite.
Wow.
Bounce it off walls.
Yeah, I don't know. Give me some kind of rifle, something. Some kind of sniper rifle.
Okay.
Some kind of. Give me like a.
Name a sniper rifle from Call of Duty.
Give me like a long barrel, like 7.25 shotgun,
Oh,
like a
okay.
slug rounds or
Oh,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
With a scope on it.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to give your answer, producer Cameron?
No,
Okay.
I did.
Oh, okay. What was your vehicle?
Oh, I didn't pick one.
It's like I can't think of a vehicle.
No.
Okay. All right. Those are good answers, I thought.
Yeah.
Where zombies are no match for that.
Mm-hmm.
Tim wants to know what the weirdest song on your phones is. I know Cam's got a few.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, producer Cameron thinks stuff is weird that is not that weird.
I don't know, some of that stuff you got on.
Tim, do you know Sophie?
That's what I'm thinking of.
I like
can't
Sophie.
respond.
I like Sophie a lot. Electronic, avant-garde.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about as weird, but I mean, I have listened to some very strange, like progressive rock, psychedelic music, or I don't know, some very like heavy artistic music that is nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, you want some weird music that shouldn't be weird but is? Listen to Paul McCartney's McCartney 2, the extended edition. There's some weird songs on there that I love.
Okay.
But
I always find Kyle's concentration music or like getting work done music interesting.
what is that?
What would that be?
Your video game soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like
like
yeah.
drum
If I
and
need,
bass.
if I just need to like knock out some work or really focus on something, I'll literally just queue up like old like Nintendo 64 classics, like Mario 64, like Mario Kart type of music
Yeah.
or something, like just kind of like good mood type of stuff. I don't know, weird
Yeah.
like old video game soundtracks.
They were putting a lot of UK jungle
Oh yeah,
and drum and bass music
Love
in those video game soundtracks back in the day.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I like to find, I'll just, like Spotify does a thing now where you can just type random words and it'll give you a playlist. So I'll just throw some words together like, I don't know, a genre that I'll listen to sometimes is like atmospheric black metal.
Oh, wow.
Put those together,
What a combo.
see what it gives you. That's
Okay.
kind of weird.
No? Well,
But-
I mean, that's the question.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
But if you want to hear something weird, listen to Sophie. I love Sophie. How many more of these you got, Producer Cameron?
Oh, just a couple.
Okay.
Ryan wants to know why Tool.
Why not?
Oh, man. I will say that it's a little bit, it's probably somewhat nostalgia for me. Nostalgia is very strong in my brain, but it's, yeah, I just think it's very beautiful, layered, contemplative, well orchestrated music. And the band members, I've met a couple of them. They're just really nice guys. And I just, man, I don't know. It just really hits with me.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to answer that question, the answer is Kyle DeVries. That's why Tool for me.
And of course, I just am happen to be wearing this shirt.
Yeah. Perfect. Why Tool, Producer Cameron?
Yeah, even producer Cameron's seen him in concert.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a good concert. Well, because you guys liked it, and I was like, well, I guess I better give it a shot.
Give it a try.
And then I liked it.
Yeah. I remember I was at like road tripping back from somewhere visiting family. And Emily always says that she's going to stay awake in the car. And I'm like, don't pretend like you're going to do that. It's fine. Just go to sleep. I actually prefer it that way because then I just listened to like multiple Tool albums straight through. I like started at the beginning of their discography and just went straight through and something clicked. And I was like, oh, I get it. I understand it now.
Yeah, you kind of do have to have that moment a little bit. Not to make it sound like really, I don't know.
Not to be too pretentious.
Not to
with
be
it.
pretentious, but like sometimes they really do just kind of have to have that moment where it just clicks.
Yeah, Tool fans aren't pretentious. So
Not at all.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I had to start with like ones like The Pot where it had more like vocals and stuff in it so that I could like ease into the
Yes.
Toolness.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird music for people.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
LeBron or MJ?
I know what your answer
It's
is.
too easy for me.
I know what your answer is too.
I don't know. Like, are we talking about just like who's the greatest?
Well, I think you have an answer that is interesting, maybe, if you want to. I feel like you might just go Kobe.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I mean, I don't know if Kobe was like the best ever, but like he was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
And I thought Kobe just had a gracefulness and a smoothness to his game. And obviously MJ had that too, I think. But I don't know. Kobe was my favorite player ever growing up, for sure.
I mean, I'm a LeBron homer, and I love him. And I just think what he's done is incredible. The longevity, the well-roundedness of his game at his size. I
can't believe he's still playing at the level he's at.
Yeah. And obviously if I grew up in MJ era, I would probably, there'd be nobody that could ever match him.
Yeah.
And obviously I understand the championships, the MVPs, that argument. You can't really debate it exactly, but I feel like, I don't know. I just think as a basketball player, someone playing the game of basketball, I think you start your team with LeBron James every time.
Makes sense to me.
And I'll always be biased towards like the greats that I got to actually watch do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I would probably say MJ just because there is like a mystique around it of like not really watching him. Like the most vivid memory of watching Michael Jordan I have is when he played for the Wizards and they fouled him so he could shoot free throws at the end of the game. And I was mad because I wanted to see him dunk. But yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I think the ones like the greats that I actually got to watch on TV in their prime, like LeBron, Albert Pujols, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like those are guys that I'll just go watch their highlights and be like, oh man,
Albert Pujols was my childhood hero for sure.
Yeah. So I'll always be biased towards the ones that I actually got to watch.
I feel like Tiger Woods is one of those, like, I wish that I would have been just like a little bit older so that I could have.
A little more tuned in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be able to appreciate it.
Because I feel like golf, it's him. Like, I know there's like other great golfers, but like the golfer is like Tiger Woods, whereas like you have like the LeBron or MJ. You don't have like the Tiger and somebody else debate, really.
Oh, probably somebody out there has got
somebody in their 70s would probably argue with me.
Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be vouching for him.
Somebody's
in the comments.
vouching for VJ Singh or somebody out there.
VJ Singh. Now that's a name. Now we're going to start naming golfers.
Oh, no.
We're doing this.
But I feel like, I don't know, like those three, like LeBron, Kobe, and MJ.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of like transitioned together, and I don't know who the next transition after LeBron.
Wembanyama.
Like, yeah.
Probably.
Oh, okay.
7'4".
Yeah. I mean, I don't pay enough attention to the NBA to like
he's good.
know or not, but
Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. All right. That all the questions?
yeah, that'll do it.
You got any questions,
Thank
Kyle?
you guys for sending those in.
Yeah, huge thank you to everybody that's listened and watched over the years, everybody that's commented. The nice comments that we've gotten the last few months since we first said that we were going to be ending soon have just been wonderful.
Yeah. Honestly, like, you know how many people are out there relatively, but it still has been really, really cool to hear some of the personal stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know, you just never would have thought about some of that stuff. So thank you for the people that have shared some of that stuff.
Thank you for letting us be a part of your routine. And also, like, the fact that people will like listening to us do this. If you think you want to do anything, like on the internet, in public, just do it, because
There'll be somebody that likes it.
there'll be somebody that likes it.
You'll find your people eventually.
Yep. And the fact that people like listening to us talk about Mizzou, I may never quite understand it, but I appreciate every single one of them.
Yeah.
And big thank you and shout out to producer Cameron, who's been behind the desk in some capacity pretty much this whole time, and is the reason we started doing this, because he had the studio space at the place he worked, and we were working out one day back when we used to do that, and producer Cameron was like, we've got this equipment at work. You and Kyle could do a Mizzou podcast.
Let's give it a shot.
And we were just like, yeah, go for it. Well, let's do it.
Yeah, because if we would have had to get the equipment ourselves, we would have never, like, just because we had a place that we could go test it out.
Yeah,
that was really
we could just one day hit record and start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, you've mentioned before, Hannah, your wife, just like encouraging you to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourselves out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Get better at it over time.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Thanks, everybody. As much as I don't want it to end, let me find my Patreon names one last time. Special thank you. We love you so much. Everybody over on Patreon: Britt Treese, Ryan Demore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilly, Luis Hernandez, Joshua Jacobson, Devontae, and Aaron Houlihan. Other people that contributed previously. We love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. We love you so much. We will see you on the internet, on Twitter, in Discord. Don't unsubscribe. Don't forget about us. We might be back someday.
You can still send us an email.
Send us an email. Find us on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod. We love you.
You can still find t-shirts and stickers on our online shop. We got a free site, so it's just going to stay up.
Maybe somebody will buy something. No, we got to send a shirt to Aaron Houlihan. He bought a shirt like a month ago.
Oh, yeah. We'll get it to him.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you. We'll see you sometime, maybe. Probably.